Well, liberal women are on a sex strike to protest the election results. This is being called the 4B movement. And conservatives are saying, this is not the flex that you think it is, girls. It's funny in kind of a mean sort of way because it's so ridiculous. But it's not funny because the Democrats are making their own people absolutely miserable with their fear mongering and bearing no responsibility for it. So here's how liberal women are rallying to this cause. This is a Reddit post like, ladies, get off the dating apps. No more sex, no more pregnancies. The vow of celibacy starts now. Keep interactions even with men to a bare minimum. Ignore them online. They no longer get access to us unless they can prove that they're capable of caring about our basic rights. Even the good men, this woman says, failed us by letting the bad men proliferate. What were they supposed to do? So even if you have someone, this is collective punishment. They're saying even if your man voted with us, he has to suffer too, they're saying. So if your husband voted for Harris, he still doesn't get any sex because they're so miserable they have to be punished. Now, I have said many times I was really upset about the 2016 election, so I get feeling this way. Do you think it's too racy to say that I did the opposite? When I was that upset, maybe it is. Clayton went and dropped off the kids, and I was like, "You need to come over here and make me feel better." Is that TMI? Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna go get a snack.
It helps. I'm gonna say you should do the opposite. Did I embarrass you? Yeah, he went off camera. He embarrassed him. Okay, we're married. And actually, okay, let me talk about how to not isolate yourself and feel worse. Here's another woman saying that she really thinks she's teasing men with her celibacy.
Baby, if you wanted to touch my body, you should have voted for it.
Okay, again, collective punishment. Can you regain yourself?
Can I just say,
I'm back.
Too much?
I'm back, baby.
I got to say, I'm excited about this because I think this might make the dating app experience much better now because I won't have to sift through, people with that mindset. Like it'll
perhaps.
just be...
Well, I think this is amazing, right? What you're saying is don't go out there. Don't further the liberal human race at this point. Don't further the human liberal race. You're basically saying, you know what? We're sort of gonna kill ourselves off. We're not going to procreate.
Right.
We're not going to have babies anymore. So we're not going to have to influence children, all of these things anymore. I mean, basically what you're doing is you're kneecapping yourself.
Yes, exactly so. And here's how one woman describes it. She says, don't even get married and divorce your husband. She starts by saying, don't track your periods online because if by some chance you get pregnant, the government's going to come and make you have that baby. And then watch her just get more and more extreme. Watch.
You're going to get your tubes tied. I don't care if you're not sexually active right now because guess what? That doesn't mean you're not going to get pregnant. And speaking of that, I'm sorry. Don't get pregnant right now. I'm sorry. It's your life. You do what you want. My advice to you for your safety is to not get pregnant right now. I am not going to get pregnant right now, even though I would love to have a family one day. That dream just went out the window forever. Unless I move to another country, I am not having a baby in the United States. I won't do it. Another thing that you may really disagree with, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I care about you and I want you to be safe. If you and your male partner voted differently this election, if he voted for that man, you need to leave him. You need to leave him. I'm sorry. You need to leave him. I know you love him. I know you love him. I know you think he's going to change. I know you think he just doesn't understand your problems. I know that you think he's more concerned about the economy. But especially if you're married to him, you are in danger right now. You are in a lot of danger. I just know that one's going to get a lot of pushback. But this is my opinion. Sure, whatever. This is my opinion. Do what you got to do. But if that resonated with you, listen to your gut. Speaking of marriage, I wouldn't get married right now. If you do, get a really, really strong prenup, but I can't promise you that that's going to be honored. I mean, I wouldn't be getting married right now. I would have your own bank account. I would have your own money. I would be saving that money. That's another thing. Save your money as much as you can right now. No frivolous spending. be careful for the holidays. You need to be conserving your resources right now. Why did I say you shouldn't get married? Because it's possible that in the future you're not going to be allowed to divorce him.
I mean, she really wants to live a happy life. You can tell.
She's joyous.
She's going to be the party of joy.
That is the joy that Kamala was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being married to her.
No, she won't get married to anybody.
She just said conserve your money. She sounds like a conservative. Like, what's the problem?
Conserve your money.
Right,
No, you
yeah.
know what it sounded like to me when she said that is like basically hide your money. Hide your money from your spouse, hide your money from your partner. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of this like duplicity that we've heard over the past few weeks. Like, hide your vote from your partner, hide your money from your partner, like save up and stockpile stuff because you're going to be a single mom, you're going to be a single, a single woman out there, and be a miserable single lady.
Well, I do want to talk about the consequences of that in a second. But first, look at this one conservative. Most of them are having a field day with this because, duh, you campaign so strongly on abortions, but then if you are celibate, you won't need those abortions. So that makes no sense. I warn you, this one's a little offensive, but we're doing sex talk, so we're going to listen.
I think it's so ironic how liberal women and women who voted for Kamala are saying that for the next 4 years, they're not going to sleep with another man. I find it so ironic because at least then you won't need an abortion. It took you Donald Trump to get in office for you to stop being a whore. See, things are already starting to change for the better.
Damn! Oh, shit. Emotional, damn it!
Okay, so, yeah. Now here's another woman saying she's coincidentally single. Shocker. So she's not going to date or have any sex at all for the entirety of the next 4 years of the Trump administration.
I'm gonna be honest, I was very blindsided by the results this morning. I've decided that cigarettes don't count today, and I honestly might go get a tattoo. But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men. And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend a handful of days before the election, and it had nothing to do with the anticipation of Donald Trump winning this election. It had everything to do with problems within our relationship and massive differences between who we were as people, which was unfortunate and sad. I wish him well, though. But yeah, as a woman, my bodily autonomy matters, and this is my way to exercise sovereignty over that. So I highly encourage any other women that are single and care about progressing women's rights and still fighting for our bodily autonomy, to do the same. Delete your dating apps, because we can come together in community, and if you need somebody to cuddle or hold your hand or give you a kiss, I bet you one of your girlfriends would do it, okay? And you don't even have to really be gay, okay? It's okay to have a lot of platonic love for the next 4 years. I think we can look to South Korea and the 4B movement as a point of inspiration for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so what she thinks that she will get out of this is that men will be so sexually frustrated that they will never consider voting for Trump again.
No, what's going to happen is these women will be miserable single ladies with no children, and they will be lonely, and they will not procreate. And men who are conservative and want America to be great and want our border secure and want to protect children from perverts in locker rooms, those people will find women who also feel that way, that want secure borders and don't want the perversion of children. And they will come together and create amazing families. So they're shooting themselves in the foot. Right. They are going to die off. This is called Darwinism.
Go ahead, David.
I was just excited about
I was going to say,
okay.
Oh,
Philip, go ahead.
You don't get to be excited. I'm talking right now. So this is basically, so I had a conversation with my daughter about this last night. And so it's like, brought up that it's basically the plot of Lysistrata, the Greek play. And where like all of the women of the village band together, they deny sex, even the prostitutes, everybody got involved and they enacted change. It is an actual way. It's been, there's been several other places this has happened, and it actually is an effective means of change. The difference here is it only works if all women get involved. And so if you're not getting conservative women involved, then it's not accomplishing anything that you want. It's
right.
You can do it as protest, and that's fine, but you're not going to enact the change because not everybody is involved. It won't work if only half of you are involved.
Yeah. And I think that conservatives actually, we do want diversity of opinion. I want to talk about this in a minute, because one of the things, a couple things, there are more women than men in this country. So it's hard enough for women to find men in the first place. So if only some women are self-selecting out, it doesn't hurt men because they already have the privilege of choice. Now, when she said, I'm going to get a tattoo, like I'm really going to show them and mutilate my body, that's part of another part of this. Women are shaving their heads or getting tattoos, like you sure showed them, Trump voters. This conservative TikToker who has a Thomas Sowell poster in his house says that if this can show this is like your team uniform, then conservative men know, okay, I'll just avoid those ones that look like that. Watch.
But beyond that, your ideology will no longer be able to be carried forward to future generations at the same rate that it would if you had children. So do your thing. And also, I'm also seeing that women are also shaving their head that are also participating in this, which is even better, because if you're a single guy and you see a woman walking around with the shaved head, you might as well breeze past her because there's no point.
I love that. Yeah, that's a signal. Oh, she has some sort of special tattoo, or she shaved her head in protest. Men run past that.
Okay,
run
but
right past it.
You never know why someone has a
videos.
Okay,
I'm actually going to start making TikTok videos encouraging this.
Okay, but no, you never know why someone has a shaved head. They could be sick. For instance, this TikToker has lupus, I believe, but she is spot on about how all the ways that liberal women are upset about reproductive rights are based on ignorance and media spun lies. You would think that she's a liberal by the way she looks, but she's not. Watch her speak this total common sense.
First, he's not planning to do a national abortion ban. He gave that right back to the states. It is a states issue. He has no plan to codify anything against abortion. That is now up to the state. So not something he is after at all. Second, reproductive rights. He supports reproduction. He supports IVF. It is actually part of his campaign that he wants insurance to cover IVF 100%. He is fighting for anything to help women have children.
But don't tell anyone that, because people want to say that he's, the massive abortion ban. Trump supported the exact same thing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg supported. They were literally, if you looked up Trump's plan on sending, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg also thought Roe v. Wade was a terrible law.
A lot, yeah.
And that it should be sent back to the states. That was the position of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the idol of the left. They loved Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Supreme Court, right? It's the exact same. Trump, Ruth Bader Ginsburg on abortion, the exact same. Yeah. But you don't want to tell them that, because that'll undercut your narrative. They can't hear that.
Right. And I don't want to give in to the temptation of mocking these women. I actually know quite a few men who got in big fights with their wives because their wives have Trump derangement syndrome, and then took it out on their husbands this week. And so men are taking the blame for this. And really, it's the media and the Democrats who should take the blame for this. They set these women up for this pain. They scare the hell out of them. Their entire campaign only got worse under Kamala Harris when she stole it from Joe Biden. Like this ad that sets up men as the enemy of women that was narrated by Julia Roberts. Watch.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
God, so disgusting.
Yeah, that's diabolical, because it sets up men as the enemy. It shows an utter lack of respect for the family and relationships. It promotes dishonesty. It suggests there is no path to even discussing your difference of opinion. You must hide it out of just sheer religious loyalty. And it reminds me of the study that we talked about last week when we talked about the campaign of joy and the reason that young liberal women are so miserable. This study done in 2022 showed that liberal teens have the highest rates of depression, and now we're seeing them take to TikTok and utterly lose their mind because they've been set up for this. Researchers looked at 86,000 high school seniors and found that kids who identified as liberal had a much higher rate of depression, and those rates were rising faster. You can look this study up yourself. According to Abigail Schreier in her new book, Bad Therapy, this is because society puts all these abstract problems that they cannot control, such as reproductive rights, sexism, microaggression, climate change. They just see injustice everywhere and they can't cope. Look at how it breaks down by gender. The liberal women here, which is the dark blue line, and liberal men, which is the light blue line, have higher rates of depression than conservatives and a steeper slope. And then look how it breaks down when you account for parents. If you look at liberal kids, they still do poorly when their parents don't have a college education. But when parents do have a college education, they do much worse. So these college educated liberal women now will not have children. That means fewer children for them to make miserable because college educated liberals are suffering, and we see it. And it's really not funny, and for two reasons. One, we're always better off with a diversity of opinion. We don't want liberals to just die off and shut up. We want to have conversations with them instead of having this conservative echo chamber, right? We want to have conversations with people with differing opinions and come to an agreement. And it also means that this generation of women will deny themselves the joy and security of a family. Not only do married people fare better economically, we've shown you that data, they also live longer and report higher incidence of happiness. That data is so easy to find, I'm not even bothering to bring it to you. Even a Google search will bring that up. Even biased Google will show you that. So if Democrats really cared about these ladies, they would not let them suffer like this. They would be honest about the Republicans' true stance on reproductive rights. They would stop telling them men are the enemy. They would stop being so damn divisive in every subset of people, race, gender, sexuality. Donald Trump had what liberals only dream of, which is a victory of true diverse voters. He brought together voters of every race, gender, and sexuality. Democrats say they love diversity, but they're pissed that the Trump campaign was able to achieve it. So it's amazing, right, that this party of diversity is dividing so much and then creating these single, miserable, sexless, childless women. So that cat lady bit doesn't look so good now, does it? We want to tell you about our friends over at Ground News. This is a great website to go to for your news because not only does it give you the news of the day, but it also lets you know how that news outlet has reported its bias. So when you want to see something like the news today that the Federal Reserve has dropped the interest rate, it will give you a list of outlets that you can go to, such as ABC News, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, and it will label whether that coverage is slightly biased in one direction or another. Now, we, of course, do this here at Redacted because the algorithm, if you're just using a news search site or a social media site, is going to continue to put you down your own conviction bias. So you're just going to see more and more things that you already agree with because the algorithm does that in order to keep you hooked. But you want to see the other side, obviously. We want to be able to consume a diverse perspective, and that's where Ground News comes in, because if you're like, wow, how could anyone ever disagree with this? Well, you can find the opposite side coverage by just going to Ground News. Listeners of this show can get 50% off their top tier Vantage plan by going to ground.news/redacted. You get all the world's news in one place. Check it out. Head on over to ground.news/redacted and you'll get 50% off their top tier plan. So one more time, that's ground.news/redacted.